Hey guys, I wanted to talk about a problem that people usually have in jiu-jitsu, which is when they're training, they feel like they've been training for a while, they're very technical, and someone in the gym who they think has trained less long or is less experienced is beating them on the mat, even though they're way more technical. So the thing is, I always try to remind my students, this is really, really frustrating because you feel like you put in the work, you should be able to beat someone. But the thing is, there's a lot of attributes that make you good at jiu-jitsu. I break it down into 5, right? It's your strength, your technique, your flexibility, your cardio, and your mindset, right? So the thing is, like, if someone's really athletically gifted and you're not, or maybe they have good natural instincts at jiu-jitsu, so they can just make good decisions that you can't. Bridging that with technique takes time, right? So it's analogous to if you were trying to beat Usain Bolt in a race, right? You may in the beginning be closer to beating him if you start running as compared to, say, trying to build a car. But in the end, you're never going to beat him by trying to run. You're only going to be able to beat him if you learn to design a car. But designing a car takes a lot longer. It's way more like technique based. It involves all this understanding of physics and engineering to be able to overcome that. So try to have a mindset when you're developing jiu-jitsu, when you're training with someone and they're beating you, even if they're less skilled, it's just like a short-term problem. If you grab someone off the street, right, who's never trained jiu-jitsu, and you have them try to roll with someone, and you grab another guy off the street, and you have that guy try to do technique, and you have the other guy just go crazy the whole time and just spaz out and do whatever he wants. Actually, the guy who spazzes out and does whatever he wants will probably do better in the beginning because he's not restricted by these complicated things where, you know, someone who's trying to be technical in the beginning, they'll be in the match and they're like, okay, I should put my arm here. And they're caught in their head trying to be technical. And the guy who's just going crazy is unrestricted. So actually, often that guy will do better, right? But the thing is that that's a short-term fix, right? So when you're developing your game, you need to think long-term, right? So I focus on developing these key habits, you know, like how to finish a triangle choke, how to finish an armbar, how to play a closed guard system, how to play a collar sleeve system, how to play a double sleeve system. If you just have faith in the process of developing these systems, over time, that random loss to people who are less skilled than you will go down slowly over time, and eventually it'll get to a point that it never happens, right? But it's completely normal if you've been training like even 2 or 3 years where you feel like you're really good, you develop all these moves and techniques that are working good on good guys. Sometimes guys will train and fight like a spastic white belt who wrestled or something, and they'll lose the match, right? And try not to think of that to mean that you suck or that guy's better than you. It has nothing to do with that, right? It's just that there's so many possible patterns of what can happen in jiu-jitsu. You can do everything right and then roll with like a black belt who's really good and even make the technique work, right? But then you roll with some spastic white belt and he does a weird pattern that you've never experienced before, and that makes it hard to develop a counter for it, or it just catches you off guard. So then that happens, then you take the time to analyze it and fix it, and then you build, right? So try not to get caught up in your day-to-day progress where like, oh, today I did good, tomorrow I did bad, or this guy's been training that, you know. Focus on understanding. If you just commit yourself to understanding and allow it to take its time, even if it's slow in the beginning, eventually you'll end up at a place where those random losses won't happen anymore to like lower level guys. Another analogy, I like using these kind of analogies that helps, I think, people understand, is imagine like you're in a race to build a really tall building with someone, right? So if one guy just starts stacking wood pallets, right? In the first hour, he's going to be way higher than you if you try to build a building that's going to be 100 stories tall. Because to build the building that's 100 stories tall, you're going to need to build like a strong base, you're going to need cement and all these things. So yes, in the short term, the guy stacking pallets, I don't know how high you could get with pallets, but he's going to get to a point where he's way ahead of you, and you're going to feel like, oh my God, I'm still laying the base, right? But eventually, when you start to catch up to him, right, with your, and it may take a while, but you get your base belt, you start catching up to him, you guys are going to get to a point where you're neck and neck, right? And then you slowly take the lead over him. And in his head, he's going to be like, well, we've been neck and neck the whole way, so now he's slowly took this lead, so now I'll be able to catch back, and you're in this race. But now he's kind of capped out at where he can go, right? He can't actually go any higher with the pallets because it's too unstable. And you built the base to go 100 stories high. That's what you're trying to do. So try not to get lost in these petty games of, you know, I need to win today or I need to win tomorrow, and focus on long-term understanding and understand that eventually all the pieces will come together and your game will work, right? It's like if you build a rocket ship, right? It doesn't work until all the pieces are together. If you have one thing off, the thing will explode, it'll blow up, and you know, it doesn't work. So ultimately, it's all about trusting the process, focusing on understanding and understanding the technique and using it. And over time, you will drown out the gap between physical performance, natural talent, and understanding of technique. Hope you guys found the video useful. I'm going to try to do a few more of these kind of conceptual ones, because on top of the technique, there's a lot of things I think that go into the mindset of understanding how to develop, not only from like a mindset and like confidence perspective, but understanding the process of structuring all the chaos of jiu-jitsu in your head.